is probably really the idea is that the word zachol, to remember in Judaism, means that you set it in front of your eyes. It doesn't mean that you actually, historical remembers doesn't mean that you remember. It means that you set it in front of your eyes to keep it in mind, not to do the failures of the past. So Germany
learn and grow.
That's right. And in Germany, this happens a lot. That in a political level, the constant remembrances. This is also, by the way, sometimes I told you that this the idea of oscillation. This could also happen when the problem is when you overdo, then people become resistant to it. So what is the method of remembering without letting yourself be paralyzed? Mm-hmm. So remember not to do the mistakes of the past, but you're able to still continue, go and proceed forward. So I really believe that Germany is on the right path. Unfortunately, this is a very not just delicate, but it's an unstable balance that you have to always poke it back to the middle that is going to stay there. But I really believe that most of the soldiers who serve, they see, yes, it's a delicate balance, but we see that this military is standing currently on the right side of history, and we want to do our best. And if something goes against, then we have to raise our voices. This is the way it goes. So, therefore, the young soldiers who are now currently serving, and sometimes not just the young soldiers, we have retired lieutenant colonels who are really excellent people. We have people in active duty in the sanitary services. We have people who are mechanics at the Air Force. And they really believe that this is a good cause. This is my father, of blessed memory, was a lieutenant colonel for the artillery. He was a chief of staff in a smaller army base not far from Budapest. So I still remember very, very fondly. And people say, this is not just a good path in life, It's some sort of stability, a sense of purpose. Why not? Why should the German military be different? Yes, we have history, but each year in July at the rebel at the Valkyrie, remember, of Graf von Stauffenberg against Hitler. This is the day when most of the soldiers take their vow. This is the day to show this is, and again, I think it's really in that regard.
Can you give a little bit of context of who he was?
Yes, so Graf Stauffenberg was a colonel in the army. He fought in the Desert Storm. He lost his eyesight. He was a sympathizer of the Nazi regime. But at some point, he had a moral conscience call, was that it's not, you can always argue why so late. But at that point, he was ready to stand up and try to assassinate Hitler. This is the famous Valkyrie. So the next day, in the Bender block, which is today the Ministry of Defense in Berlin, he was executed along with other people who were trying to organize. That's right. Who tried to organize the military resistance, because there's a point comes when people understand this is going the wrong way. Could have been done earlier, yes, but still, it's very important that the military says this is our role model in the sense of you have to have your moral conscience, and therefore, the day when the new recruits take their vows is the day of the execution of Graf von Stauffenberg.
And I guess that also has that Jewish idea of it's never too late to change.
I totally agree with you, and it sets a good course. We have to take history always with a cup of water, as they say. So again, you have to analyze, but still, you learn from the past, and do not let yourself paralyzed. You take role models. There were people who were role models who you can take. Just to give you an example, I felt very honored this past May when the inspector of the sanitary services, General Baumgartner, a 3-star general who's the sanitary services is one branch in the German army. They have their base in the city of Koblenz. Koblenz is where the Main and the Moser River flow together. That's what the Latin name comes from, Convulentia.
Okay.
The name of the place is Koblenz. And this is where their main base is. And they decided to give to each street and square within the base a name of those soldiers who were part of the sanitary services and fell throughout even Afghanistan. Staff sergeants. Not you don't have to go for. However, the main square was named after Dr. Käthe Neumark. Who was Dr. Käthe Neumark? Dr. Käthe Neumark was the first woman as a sanitary officer, a doctor, a Jewish doctor from Halle in First World War. She was the first ever doctor woman as an officer. And they asked me to be there to commemorate that really wonderful woman. This was the first time I saw her name, and then you dig into what she's been doing, Lazareth and Halle, and then how she had to flee in the 30s Germany from Frankfurt, being actually one of the first real official pediatrician or school doctor in the 20s. And then she passed away before the war. She was not, but in Amsterdam, because she was basically chased away by the Nazi ideology. So I find it remarkable that the inspector, General Baumgartner, decided that she is going to be the one who's going to carry the name of the main training place of the sanitary services. The German army does everything in its power to set a course of who are our role models, who are the people who we want to be associated with.
In many militaries or many societies, history of the nation is a way that people perceive what their nation represents. Right. It is what you're saying is basically that Germany doesn't look at the story or the history as what we want to be, but rather tries to find through the history the right people and the right personalities to emulate.
That's right, and I really think this is the way where we're heading to. I do not know, but this is the time when you need to set who are your role models? Who do you want to resemble to? Who would you like to have on your flag? Who would you like to be named after? You know, in Judaism, we put a lot of emphasis. As a child is named after one of the grandparents or the great, in the Sephardi, or a great personality, or somebody who, a predecessor who was an outstanding personality. This is the way we want to be associated. We want to be, just as you said, we want to emulate these positive character traits. So you have to set your role models.